his situation was he was in a cell with a person who was convicted of murder, so anything can happen.
So, Billy Chemirmir, what do you know? What happened?
Well, I was called early this morning from TDCJ, and my understanding is that he got into an argument of some sort, said something inappropriate to his cellmate, and the cellmate killed him, beat him to death.
Beat him to death? Wasn't stabbed or?
Well, maybe stabbed with a pen, but not a knife, perhaps. But even though they're on lockdown, apparently he somehow opened the door and dragged him into the hallway, and there were other prisoners who saw it, and nobody intervened or nobody called for help. And basically he was there for about 15 or 20 minutes before anybody of authority could figure out that what had happened, and he was there, and they tried to revive him, and he died.
Who is his jail mate? Because apparently he's a Dallas County murderer.
My understanding is that's not accurate, that he's from Harris County. I know that it's been said, but I've also heard that somebody looked it up, I don't know his name, and that he's actually from Harris County. Wow. That's my understanding.
So he was getting ready to try to appeal and all
Those cases were being appealed, yes.
So I know that the families were seeking the death penalty, and I know this is probably not the best outcome, but I don't think a lot of people shed a lot of tears. Billy Chemirmir was a very bad man. Can you, for those who weren't here, kind of rehash what he did?
He's a violent person. I mean, he was indicted for 20 or so deaths, but the reality of it is Billy Chemirmir could have killed more people than that. We really don't know, and there becomes a point where do you start and stop looking? And what would it do to the families to learn that, if there are more? But we don't really know when he started all of this. We just have what we have, and it's likely that he killed more people. We don't know. But he's certainly one of the more prolific serial killers in the state of Texas. That's for certain, that we know of.
Yeah, if not, maybe in the country, because I mean, DPD at one point told me they thought maybe he was good for like 100 murders. They just couldn't.
I don't know how
they just couldn't put those on
right.
him.
I mean, you would have to go back and start really exhuming people on undetermined deaths where it was a possibility that he was there, and that's a very difficult thing to do. And that's why I say I don't know that anything would be served by doing that, because you can only try him so many times. And to be quite honest with you, it doesn't surprise me that he was killed in prison. I always thought that was a possibility with somebody with his background. Now it seems to be, as I understand it, that he said something inappropriate to his roommate, and that's what triggered the attack.
But you don't know what he said?
Something of a sexual nature and inappropriate is my understanding, and it was directed towards the inmate's children or child. And that's what triggered all of this.
Wow. I mean, I figured he might get killed because people hated him for killing a bunch of defenseless old ladies.
Well, you never know what'll motivate somebody. I mean, that may have had a part in it. I don't know. But yes, I've always recognized that he's probably, in general population, is probably, just by the nature of his offenses, there are others down there that will take offense to it. And his situation was he was in a cell with a person who was convicted of murder, so anything can happen.
How often does this happen? I mean, they have the prisons in lockdown because it is getting pretty dangerous in the Texas prisons.
Well, they have it in lockdown for danger and drugs also. And so, but my understanding is they don't think that drugs had anything to do with this. But my understanding is they've had, in the system this year, is about 17 or 18 people die, and die either from drugs or violent death.
I know this is going to sound kind of callous, but did he kind of get what he deserved?
Well, I think the families probably think so. I mean, there were some who didn't want to seek death and some who did, as you know. And I spoke to one this morning, and there was just silence. I don't think she knew what to say or how to feel. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that's going to be true of a lot of them.
How do you feel about it?
I really don't have any feelings. I mean, he was somebody that obviously I don't care much about as a person, and I think he got what he deserved, life in prison without parole. I expected that he would die there, and I also knew there was a possibility that he could be killed. And had we sought a death sentence and had we been successful, he'd probably be alive today because he would have been in a single cell. He wouldn't have been in a cell with somebody else. So, I mean, these types of people with these types of crimes, I think there's a heightened risk that they can be attacked and killed. And I'll always recognize that. I didn't think something like this would happen so quickly, but, you know, he put himself there, and he said what he said, as I understand it, and he got the response he got.